All right, I want to do some NBA here as we close out the show because there was an interesting format for the NBA All-Star Game. They have been searching for answers to try to figure out how do we fix the NBA All-Star Game because it is a joke, and it's much like the NFL where we saw the Pro Bowl become a joke, and they just said, you know what, we're just going to do flag football. And the NBA is revamping things where it's going to look unrecognizable for the NBA, and they're going to go. And this was confusing to me because I'm like, I always thought of it as two teams, right? You had the East versus West. Now you've got two U.S. teams and one world team in a round-robin tournament, which will feature 4 12-minute games. So they'll play round-robin. It'll be quick. It'll be fast. And I think they're trying to tap into the international aspect, which hockey had such tremendous success with. Sure. Now, that tournament was a little different as it was really awesome. It was awesome because it was real games. So I think it's going to feel a little bit more like the NFL does with their Pro Bowl, where it's a little bit more of an exhibition. And the only way this is successful is if the players care. Right, and I just don't know if they're going to care. The hockey players, they cared. That's why it was a huge success. There was pride in country. They wanted to win. They're playing as hard as ever. I don't think NBA players are going to be really enthusiastic about playing for their country in an exhibition game in the middle of the season. They're going to be worried about resting, making sure we don't go too hard. Right. So I think, you'll see some interesting things from it. Like, I think you'll see some great offense, maybe a little bit defense in the last 2 minutes of each mini game. Right. But I still think it's going to be probably a laugher where everyone's out there having a good time.
Yeah, this is something we've talked about before, and I think it's a matter of if you can get the important guys to care, everybody will care. Yeah. Right? If I can get Giannis on board and Luka on board and Shea on board for Team Worlds, I think they'll care. If I can get LeBron and Steph Curry and KD on board with Team America, I think they care. Look, I give them credit for, trying to revamp this thing, trying to make it more fun, trying to breathe some life into it. But I think, more questions than we've gotten answers from the first part, right? I don't know now, do we have to vote for a certain number of American players and then a certain number of world players? Because that's going to do an injustice to the world players who only get 10 in, where maybe they have more guys deserving. And then I remember as a New Yorker, I watched Jalen Brunson get a starting nod for the first time last year, and I was so excited about it. And he wound up playing like 8 minutes because his team wasn't on the floor. Right. So it's like if I vote on LeBron James or I vote Steph Curry or I vote on one of these other guys that I want to see play, but his team plays one game and he's out, he may get 11 minutes of all-star time when I wanted to see Luka Doncic play the whole time because we voted him in as a starter, So I think there's probably some lapses in it, but you give him credit for trying to liven it up and make it something, right? I guess we'll see as we go.
We will see as we go. There you go.
That's a sick picture.
That is a sick picture right there. The world versus the U.S., but there's a third team missing. Like, that's a thing that's confusing, too, because they have 3 teams, 2 U.S. and 1 world. So we'll see how that unfolds. And I bet the first time it'll rate pretty well because people will be curious to see how it unfolds.